Welcome back. Israel's prime ministerial candidate Benny Gantz has threatened to destroy the headquarters of Hamas if it does not stop firing rockets from Gaza. Speaking at a rally, Gantz said he will restore a policy of deterrence against Hamas leaders. Marking the 24th anniversary of the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, Gantz said he won't let hate win. Tens of thousands of Israelis gathered at the square where Rabin was murdered in 1995 by an ultra-nationalist Israeli Jew. Rabin was killed for holding peace talks with the Palestinians. Numerous rounds of peace talks have failed to secure the Palestinians an independent state, with the last round of negotiations collapsing in 2014. In Afghanistan, at least 10 security personnel have been killed in clashes with the Taliban in northeastern Badakhshan province. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid says 15 others have been wounded. Government officials say heavy fighting is still ongoing after Taliban attacked Nusal district early yesterday. They said the district may fall into Taliban's hands if reinforcements are not sent by the Kabul administration. Turkey says it will send captured ISIS members back to their home countries. Talking to media, Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu accused the EU of making Turkey deal with ISIS prisoners by himself. He said Europe's attitude is irresponsible and not acceptable to Ankara. Soylu said the Netherlands and Britain stripped some ISIS fighters of their nationality to prevent Ankara from sending them back. Extending its clampdown in occupied Kashmir, India has placed 450 prominent Kashmiris on its no-fly list. Indian media reports that the exclusion list includes politicians, journalists, lawyers, and human rights activists from the occupied valley. It said Indian authorities have been surveilling the personal activities of these Kashmiri influencers since the annexation of the valley on August 5th this year. It said Indian authorities have not informed any of these people about the duration of their ban on their overseas travel. Reacting to the ban, Kashmiri politician Uzair Ronga says India wants no one to raise their voice for Kashmir on any foreign platform. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan says the Kartarpur corridor has been completed and is ready to welcome Sikh pilgrims. Over 8,000 Indian Sikh pilgrims have already arrived in Pakistan to celebrate the 550th birthday anniversary of Sikhism founder Baba Guru Nanak. Prime Minister Khan said completing the project in time for the birth anniversary celebrations of Baba Guru Nanak is a huge achievement. The Prime Minister has already waived a processing fee for pilgrims using the Kartarpur corridor on its opening day and on Guru Nanak's birthday. Khan will formally inaugurate the Kartarpur corridor on November 9th. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has rejected calls to drop his Brexit deal and embrace a clean break from the EU. The move sparked an angry backlash from Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage. The British Prime Minister says he could put his deal through Parliament after any election win. He has abandoned the threat of a no-deal Brexit in his Conservative Party's manifesto for the 12th December election. Johnson had previously pledged to take Britain out of the EU with or without a deal by 31st October. But lawmakers voted to force him to seek an extension until 31st January. Meanwhile, opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn says a no-deal Brexit would place straight into the arms of US President Donald Trump. First Minister of Scotland Nicola Sturgeon says independence is within touching distance. The Scottish National Party leader made these comments during a rally in Glasgow. Scotland would need the British government's permission to hold another independence referendum legally. The SNP wants to transfer powers to Scotland's devolved parliament where Sturgeon sits. The First Minister urged voters to use the upcoming 12th December elections to send a message to Westminster.
We are gathered here for one simple purpose, and that purpose is to demand the right to choose a better future for our country.
In 2014, a referendum was held on Scottish independence from the UK. Unionists won the vote by bagging over 55% of the total ballots cast. In Iraq, one anti-government protester has been killed and 91 others wounded during clashes with security forces in Baghdad. Police fired tear gas canisters and rubber bullets to disperse the crowd. Earlier, the protesters blocked all roads leading to Iraq's main Gulf port of Qasr. Port authorities say all operations have been at a complete standstill since protesters first blocked its entrance on Wednesday. The protesters are demanding an end to corruption and unemployment. Over 200 people have been killed since anti-government protests began last month. In Chile, hundreds of women have marched silently through the streets of the capital, Santiago, as part of ongoing anti-government demonstrations. The protesters have demanded justice for 18 people killed during the unrest that gripped the country for 2 weeks. Dressed in black, the protesters walked silently down the capital streets. The March of Silence has kicked off another day of protest against inequality in the country. 7,000 people were arrested during the unrest in Chile, with businesses suffering losses over $1 billion. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres has warned Asia to quit its addiction to coal. He was speaking to reporters during the Asian Summit in Bangkok. The UN Secretary General said countries in the region are among the most vulnerable to global warming. Guterres said Asia needs to be on the front line of the fight against climate change with carbon pricing and better energy policies. The warning follows a new study that Asian countries are at a particular risk of climate-driven flooding. The research shows 300 million people living along the world's coast could be hit by devastating flooding by 2050. Coastal cities such as India's Mumbai, China's Shanghai, and Thailand's Bangkok could be submerged in 3 decades. Mosul was once considered one of the most prominent Middle East manufacturing hubs. This all ended when the city was captured by ISIS back in 2014. Now, 2 years after the Iraqi city was liberated from the terror outfit, the city is trying to recover its former glory. Details in this report.
Isolated and unproductive, the state of Mosul in Iraq today is a far cry of the city's industrial golden age. When ISIS overran the city, its factories were destroyed and their equipment was sold or repurposed into weapons. Business owners have slowly returned but find a city with no reliable electricity and few distribution channels.
Before, everything was easy for us and nobody stopped anyone who was transporting goods in trucks, except for security procedures only. However, now it's different. You would need documents to enter. They wouldn't allow everyone to pass, and there are a lot of obstacles.
The city's old trade routes are now dotted with checkpoints collecting informal customs fees. This includes roads leading into Iraq's autonomous Kurdish region and to the country's capital, Baghdad.
Before 2014, we were exporting large quantities to the rest of the provinces, such as Baghdad, Basra, Najaf, and Amara. All the provinces were a unit, meaning we would trade by exchanging produced goods with material and vice versa.
Local businesses also have a hard time competing because the city is flooded with cheap imports. There's already fierce competition in Iraq over next year's budget, making it unclear if Mosul's ambitions for a commercial comeback will materialize.
When was the last time someone wrote you a letter instead of sending an email or a WhatsApp message? With everybody carrying a smartphone, the regular mail seems redundant, but the post must go on. This includes Russia, where the country's oldest postal worker, an 83-year-old woman, is still doing her job on foot. This report has more.
83-year-old Ekaterina Dazaleva has been walking this mountain route in the Caucasian mountains for over 50 years. It's a tough job, but she says she'd rather climb mountains than sit at home and do nothing. For locals, she has become a bit of a local legend. Ekaterina Dazaleva was inspired to become a postal worker by military postmen bringing news from the front during the Second World War. Now she is inspiring the younger generation in her own way.
Russian artists in Rostov are celebrating a local breed of horses by painting the animal onto stable walls. The paintings of the Don horses are part of a campaign to raise awareness of this breed's endangered status. For more, let's watch this report.
Driven by the lifelong love for horses, enthusiasts in Rostov Oblast capture beautiful kinetic moments of horses on walls. Nadezhda Skripkina and her husband have been breeding Russian Donchaks since 2016. The breed is well known for endurance and versatility. The stable is currently home to only 15 of them. Skripkina says there are only dozens of Donchaks left, which puts the breed on the verge of extinction.
We decided that our goal would be to introduce residents of Rostov-on-Don to this breed and tell them about and show them how beautiful and versatile they are.
Last month, the couple invited the artists to spend several days living next to the horses while painting them. Among several artists who answered the call was Olga Schiff.
Back then, a horse was everything to a person. Then the industrial age began and horses were no longer needed. They gradually died out. These horses are not machines that can be made in a factory.
According to a study, there were only 180 Donchak horses left in 2016. Skripkina plans to expand and improve her private facility, making it a tourist attraction.
We'll take a quick short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, in the Falkland Islands, dozens of Zimbabweans are clearing landmines in harsh weather conditions. Far from their families, the workers are facing significant cultural change. Details in this report. This is Falkland Islands, home to sheep farms and abundant bird life. Here is a surprising community of around 100 Zimbabweans. They are experts at clearing mines laid during the 1982 war between Argentina and the United Kingdom.
I think it makes living here easier because, you know, anytime you go back home from work, you have someone to talk to who understands where you come from and who understands the challenges that you're facing on a daily basis.
Deminers put their lives at risk to make the place safe for locals. The brave hearts keep themselves busy in different activities. There are also female workers living far from family.
You know, I'm a mother, so I miss my kids every day. I wish I could be with them, but because of circumstances, Zimbabwe is not like good, so we have to work here so that we provide for them.
SafeLink Global is responsible for clearing the 2 million mines along the border between Zimbabwe and Mozambique. The company is happy with the performance of deminers.
Here, since 2015, we've had basically the same group of deminers. Reliable, cheerful, not a bit of trouble, really great guys to work with.
There were originally 122 acres to clear in the Falklands, but there are only 11 to 12 left. The project, which began in 2009, is expected to finish by the end of next year. In Nepal, authorities have found new ways to tackle the tons of waste on Mount Everest. Now, trash from the mountain is used to make upcycled items for homes and hotels in Kathmandu and other major cities. More in this report.
A group of tourists sips water at a hotel in Kathmandu in Nepal, unaware that these green glasses were once bottles discarded on Mount Everest. Earlier this year, Nepal's government and mountaineering groups organized a 6-week cleanup operation on the world's tallest mountain. A 14-member team retrieved over 10 tons of waste that was later sent to recycling centers where the workers sorted materials manually.
At least the waste is not dumped. We're working to recycle and upcycle this waste as much as possible. And we don't need big technology for this. We are working out of small units.
Community NGOs also recently launched a campaign to transport waste to recycling centers by harnessing roughly 50,000 trekkers. They were each asked to carry a 1-kilogram pouch of trash to Kathmandu for recycling.
It's not just better for us and the environment, but then it goes bigger, way bigger than that. It's recycling, upcycling, encouragement of the, everyone who's trying to move into that direction of making the globe into a better place, reducing all the waste.
Mountaineers still warn that the collected waste is just a fraction of Mount Everest's rubbish. Reversing the damage caused by tourists over the decades remains a work in progress.
For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus.News.